Please welcome to the stage State Representative Judson Sapp, who will lead us in prayer.
Thank you, everybody. Please bow your heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for being with us today. We ask for you to continue to look after our great country, our great people running for office in this country, and their families who often weren't asked to do this, but they support their loved ones and support their community and what they're going to accomplish. Father, we ask for your blessings. We ask for you to guide us, and we especially ask you to look after our armed service members in harm's way, and our first responders who have always have our back. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I was also asked to give a little rah-rah. Listen, you guys, if you have not heard Byron Donald speak, you are in for something special today. I first met Byron many years ago in the halls of Tallahassee when I was just up there walking around, and he took the time to talk to me. And what I'm constantly impressed with him is how deeply he understands policy and his vision for what he wants to accomplish for this great state. And I'm telling you, he is going to build on years of success that we have had as Republicans. For what Ron DeSantis has done, he's going to take it to what you always do. You take the torch and you continue to run the marathon and you win the race, and he is going to do that. I am telling you, I have never been impressed with a person more than my time spending with Byron Donalds and what he wants to do for this country, and the state, I should say. Hopefully the country too one day. But he is amazing. We are blessed to have him here in Jacksonville. We're going to be blessed to have him as our next governor of the state of Florida. I cannot wait. So, all right. We have somebody else coming up. I was blessed to be backstage and see some of the people that are coming up today. You're going to be very impressed. Byron is the real deal, folks. Let's get out the vote. Let's whip, you know what, and show them that Florida is deep red and we lead the nation. All right. God bless you all. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage State Representative Wyman Duggan.
Good morning, Duval. Good morning, Mandarin. Thank you all for coming out today. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. So, friends, it is an honor for me to welcome these two fine gentlemen here today to Duval County. I had the pleasure and privilege of serving under Byron Donalds in my first term in the House. He was the chair of a committee that I was on, the Insurance and Banking Committee, which perfectly matched his background and skill and expertise. And I learned so much from him in that role that I took on with me as I continued my legislative career. But just as importantly, I saw him on the floor of the House carrying important pieces of legislation, major pieces of policy that changed our state for the better. And back then, before we had our supermajority, where we could control how often the Democrats could talk, they spent hours hitting him with questions and debate, constantly attacking, because he was carrying important policies that really rubbed him the wrong way, which is the right kind of policy. And he was always calm, cool, collected, poised, but more importantly, he would have devastating rebuttals, critiques, counterattacks that would completely demolish all of their talking points and make it clear that that's all they were. They were just propaganda. They weren't really serious policy. And he was the master at that, in my opinion, in my time in the House, not just then, but since. I have seen very few people who could do as great a job on the floor, holding his own, making the case, making it clear to everybody watching why the policy that he was carrying was important. Then, of course, he left. He went to Congress. He took that fight to Congress, and not just against the Democrats in Congress, but against their allies in the national media, their talking point memo, talking heads in the media. And of course, he went around the country nonstop for our great President Trump, being a surrogate, being a voice for his policies and how great he was going to be. And he helped materially with that election, with that win. So I'm sure all grateful for that. What I want you to know and take away is he is going to take that same serious, well thought out approach to policymaking and to governing this state. He'll continue the legacy of national leadership and even international leadership that Florida has set the pace on for the last 10 and a half years, not just Ron DeSantis, but Rick Scott before him, where we are setting the pace on policy that people are following, because that's what leadership looks like. More importantly, he will never be rattled. He will always give everything the moment demands, whatever it is. Dealing with a hurricane, dealing with some other natural disaster, dealing with the economics of running the 12th largest economy in the world. If Florida were a country, we'd be in the G20. We're that big. We're that important. This is the man for that moment. You have other great speakers coming up. I'm so excited. But ultimately, when our next great governor comes out here, please give him a warm welcome. Thank you all for coming.
Please welcome to the stage Paul Renner.
All right, all right. I was going to ask for a big Jacksonville welcome, but you just gave Congressman Donalds a great Jacksonville welcome. It is great to be with you. And for those that don't know, he and I go back quite a ways, back to 2015, I would say, when we were both running in the 2016 class. And my first interaction with now Congressman Donalds was out working together as a team, which is why I'm here. We were out knocking doors in the heat of summer. It was as hot as it was this miserable summer we've just gone through, knocking doors for our colleagues, our men and women who are running for the Florida House all across the state of Florida to get them elected and laying the groundwork for what today is the free state of Florida. And that was my first interaction with Congressman Donalds. He's been a hero, and in the legislature fought alongside all of us to stop sanctuary cities, to make sure we advocated for educational freedom, to extend stand your ground, and to cut taxes and unnecessary spending. He did the same thing in Congress to take the Florida way, our Florida principles, into the swamp where it's hard to win up there, but he took those same principles and fought for them in Congress. And what this election is really about is whether we will continue down the path and with the principles that have built the free state of Florida or abandon them. These are principles that Congressman Donalds has consistently fought for since the day he came into office, and he will do so as our next governor. And I also want to, that's something to applaud. And we're also proud to welcome Senator Avila, who I know also very well. We served together in the House. He knows something about freedom. As the descendants of people who left Cuba, communist Cuba, he understands the fight for freedom. As a captain in the National Guard, as somebody who fought the woke indoctrination we saw in 2020, sponsored the bill to push back against that and set Florida apart from other states who are leaning into the far left ideology. He put a full halt to it when he was a member of the Florida House and served as a Speaker pro tem, which, of course, now Speaker Duggan learned that you can lose the pro tem overnight. He's now the Speaker. But Brian was our Speaker pro tem, part of our leadership team, and, of course, now in the state Senate, has been somebody who is universally admired, universally liked, and respected, and will be a great asset for Congressman Donalds to push his legislative agenda as our next governor. And so, again, for all of us who love this state, the choice is crystal clear. Are we going to continue to protect the free state of Florida or abandon it? And it is for that reason I'm more than happy to fully support Congressman Donalds to be Florida's next governor here in the state of Florida. Because, folks, we can't have David Jolly. And just think about it. Republicans, Team Republican, we cut taxes, we balance budgets, we pay off debt early. David Jolly's already signaling that he wants more government, he wants more taxes, more money out of your pocket at the very time that you can't pay your bills, and we're not going to give him that opportunity. You know, we've stood for life. We've stood for parental rights. We ended culture wars. We didn't start by ending transgender surgeries on minors. And David Jolly is ready to go right back and do a complete U-turn, ending parental rights, returning to those days of 2020 where we saw the left on the march. We cannot let him start the job that we prevented Andrew Gillum from getting the opportunity to do in 2018 in that pivotal election. And this election is just as important. And let's not forget the same Democrat Party that tells you David Jolly is a moderate and everything's going to be fine with him is the same party that just nominated an avowed and proud Democrat socialist to be the nominee for your next U.S. senator. And we know that Democrat socialism is an oxymoron. You cannot have democracy for long in the face of socialism. It will give way. And we know that socialism always leads to poverty, always leads, in the case of dissidents, to prison and even death. We cannot let the Democrat Party get a toehold here in the free state of Florida because ultimately they have rejected all truth. We understand the foundational principles of this country. They rejected truth with a capital T, which is why they can't tell you what a woman is. And so the choice is crystal clear, and that is why we have to go out and fight. And I know Jacksonville will come out, North Florida, because I grew up here. Jacksonville will deliver for Governor Donalds, will deliver for our state House and Senate members up and down the ticket. We cannot fall off in terms of our turnout. We have to get out there and fight to protect the free state of Florida. And the guy who's going to do it, I am proud to announce, can we please give a loud welcome to Florida's next governor, our future governor, Byron Donalds. Let's give it up.
Uh, First of all, before I begin, I want to thank um, Speaker Paul Renner. I want to thank him. Paul and I go back a long way. We've known each other for more than 10 years. And there was never a day where I doubted his conviction, his resolve, his desire to fight for Florida, all the work that he has done in his time in the legislature, being Speaker of the House, to make sure that the free state of Florida, things that we talked about in conversations as freshmen, policies that we wanted to see become a reality in our state, Paul Renner is one of the key architects of that here in Florida. So, Paul, is he still back there? Tell him. Thank you. Thank you. Don't mess up with those chords, though. It's a long step down. Jacksonville, good morning. Good morning. Listen, we are now 68 days away from the next consequential election. I know we hear it every 2 years. This is the most important election in our lifetime. But I want to explain in more detail why so many times electeds and people running for office use that phrase. We use it because back in when the Constitution was being debated in that hot hall in Philadelphia, and Benjamin Franklin came out of that hot room and was asked, do we have a monarchy or a republic? His answer was very clear. It's a republic if you can keep it. And how we keep the republic alive and well, how we keep Florida as the free state of Florida is that you have to choose it election after election after election. President Reagan often said that freedom just doesn't get passed on in the bloodstream. It is something that must be protected, something that must be fought for. And so often in politics, it's easy just to talk about the other guy. And trust me, there's going to be plenty of time to talk about David Jolly. And there's definitely going to be time to talk about Angie Nixon. But it's important to tell the people of this great state why we want Florida to remain the free state of Florida and what we are for in order to make that a reality. I made this decision to run to be your next governor because when I came to this state 30 years ago, all I was doing was chasing a college education and a dream. I didn't have anything to my name. And over the last 30 years, I have been blessed to build the Florida dream in my lifetime. And so the entire purpose of this effort to be Florida's next governor is to make sure that kids in our state who are multiple generations in their family lineage, or new young kids coming to Florida to go to college at UNF or FSU or UF or University of Miami and any part of our university structure in Florida, we want them to be able to build that same Florida dream. Because what has happened in our state, we have become the embodiment of freedom and liberty, opportunity and merit, industry and grit. We have become what the framers of our nation have always wanted to see a state of the people, for the people, by the people, where it is about the content of your character, the ability to achieve, to have true liberty from government, to be left alone, to seek your dreams. And if you build wealth, to have the freedom to pass that on to the next generation. That's what has always been the more perfect union that our framers have always wanted to see. And there is no state in America that embodies that more than the great state of Florida. But if we're going to remain the great state of Florida, we have to acknowledge what's going on today. Yes, it's hard to get to number one. And by the way, Governor Ron DeSantis has done a great job leading Florida because we are number one. We are number one. But the hardest thing is to stay number one. To stay number one requires more discipline, more effort, more standing by our principles and our values. It's not just about the elections of defeating the radical left. And by the way, we are going to defeat the radical left here in Florida in 68 days. But it's also about what are we for? What do we believe in? What are we going to do going forward? As I'm traveling the state, we're talking about making sure that Florida is an accountable Florida to the taxpayers. We talk about Florida being an achievable Florida for our young people. And most importantly, we talk about Florida being an affordable Florida for seniors who just want to live out their golden years in the best state in America. To be an accountable Florida requires government to be transparent with all money that is being spent. We are going to continue all Doge efforts in the state of Florida, and it will be all local governments and all state agencies in our state. There will be no sacred cows. You deserve to know how your money is being spent, and we will have the most transparent government in all of America. It's also about having an efficient government. We have a responsibility to not waste your time. We have a responsibility to not waste the time of small business owners. We have a responsibility. I'm going to speak specifically to the Agency for Persons with Disabilities, APD. We have a responsibility to make sure that the children in Florida who do need our help, probably more than anybody, that they're not sitting on a waiting list that doesn't ever really move. We are going to be efficient and responsive to the needs of the people of Florida. When it comes to an achievable Florida, it starts with our children. We are going to build the best K-12 system in the world. And where does that begin? Making sure our kids are mastering math, reading, and writing in our schools. Because a child that has the ability to do mathematics, to read complex text, to understand that material, and then to either have conversations or relay that information to another human being, that is a child who is prepared for the information age in our economy. They are going to be prepared. This is why we have a goal of having personalized success plans for children in our state if their parents desire to opt in. Because parental rights will always be a bedrock foundation in the free state of Florida. It's also why we have our Launchpad initiative. Because the truth is, there's more than one way to be successful in our country. I'm a Florida State grad. I graduated with degrees in, oh, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Every time, listen, it just happened. This happens in every room in Florida. I'm a proud Seminole 2002 graduate. I am. And then a couple tomahawk chants, chops start coming out. War chant starts. And then it's like clockwork. There's always a gator chomp that comes right behind it. But listen, I love all of our schools now. I love them all. We want them all to be successful. We do. And by the way, we have the best university system in all of America, and we're going to keep it that way. But for our kids who aren't going to the university system, what about them? For those children, juniors and seniors in high school, we want to actually partner them with companies in our state, companies who are looking for talent, companies who want to be able to train them. Our juniors and seniors, if they haven't filled out a FAFSA, let's make sure they have an internship or an apprenticeship. Why is it that if you're a senior and you have senioritis, you're in class 5 days a week? Maybe 3 days you're in class, the other 2 days you're at the job, learning the skills that you're going to need to put food on the table and a roof over your head. That's what we want to see. We want every child in Florida to have the ability to achieve the Florida dream for themselves. We know today that if there is a young man who gets the necessary training and certificates, he can become an auto technician right after high school graduation and make $80,000 a year with no student debt. We know that today. I met a young lady in Polk County. She was a welder making six figures at 19 years old with no debts. This is a reality for our young people today. So we need to know the truth. There's many ways to be successful. In Florida, we want to empower families, empower parents, and empower young people to be successful, whether they choose the workforce or whether they choose the university system. It is about them having the ability to build the Florida dream in their lives. But it's also about affordability, insurance. We have more work to do. Speaker Renner, your next Lieutenant Governor, Brian Avila, Speaker Pro, I guess now Speaker Wyman Duggan, they all did the hard, heavy lifting a couple of years ago about tort reform in our state because we have to push down insurance costs for the people of Florida. And we want to thank them and Governor DeSantis for leading the way in a hard fought battle a couple of years ago. But now we have to build on that success. We are going to reform Florida's insurance markets to further push costs down for the people of Florida. Because the people of Florida have had enough. And we have to make sure insurance is affordable and available for the people of our great state. When it comes to property taxes, that's in your hands now. I'm voting yes. And the reason why is because you're not a piggy bank for government. You're not. But we are going to make sure one thing is clear. We are going to make sure that our sheriffs, our firefighters, our emergency personnel, that they get the resources that they need to keep our community safe because law and order is the standard in Florida. And as your next governor, that will not change. It will not change. It's about healthcare. Healthcare costs are out of control. And I'm going to talk about the Democrats a little bit. The reason why healthcare costs are out of control is because the Affordable Care Act, oxymoron, is not working. And it's never worked. Premiums are through the roof. Deductibles are higher than the premium. We have people in our state and quite frankly around America where they have a health insurance policy, but they don't have the disposable cash to pay the deductibles. So it's a piece of paper. It's actually not real coverage. In Florida, what we can do is have full price transparency across the board. We want hospitals and doctors' offices to post a real cash price for the top 20 services that they provide. And in today's world, and we all know you can open up your Google Maps or open up a DoorDash or open up an Uber Eats. And if you decide I want to go eat something, it'll pull up the pricing on everything you want to put into your body. You should be able to pull up the pricing on every medical procedure you want to see done for you to help you continue to live in our state, afford our state, and get the best health care in our state. And we are going to push for full price transparency in healthcare because it is your money. It's your money. And you deserve to know what the cost is before you walk in the door, not after you get home. You deserve to know that. It's about permitting in our state. Now, a year and a half ago, I started talking about permitting reform, and people were like, what's he talking about? 30% of the cost of a new home is government. 30%. Not sheetrock, not appliances, not a roof, government. We are going to modernize permitting and planning in the state of Florida because the longer it takes to permit a home, the more expensive the home is, especially for the young people in our state who want to own a home and build the Florida dream for themselves. When hurricanes come through Florida, no more waiting 8, 9, 12, 15 months for a permit just to rebuild the home that you love. In Florida, as long as you don't have to bring your house up to a new code level, your permits will be automatic after the storm leaves. Automatic. Because the longer you have to wait to rebuild your home, the more expensive it is for you. And the more expensive it is across the board. And we want people to be able to afford the free state of Florida. It's about infrastructure. Yes, growth is coming. You guys know that right here in Jacksonville. And I know a lot of people want to stop people coming to Florida, but here's the truth. They come here because we're a well-run state. They come here to escape the crazy of the Northeast and out West. They come here because we're based on conservative principles and law and order and just common sense. And that's what people desire in their lives. So I know we can't build a wall between us and Georgia. Can't build a wall. Can't build a wall. But what we can do is make sure that we build out the infrastructure that we need so that quality of life in Florida can be maintained or enhanced. We took a lot of people in post-COVID. A lot of people fled those states. Now we have a responsibility of how we're going to manage that growth for the future of Florida. The last piece is our economy, because at its core, you can't have an affordable Florida if you don't have high paying jobs and a thriving economy in Florida. Wyman Duggan talked about some of our economic record. We are on our way to being a top 10 global economy right here in Florida. Part of that's right here in the Jacksonville, Northeast Florida corridor with financial services and aerospace, and obviously one of the largest ports in Jacksport. It's also about 4 hours or so down the road at Cape Canaveral, where we are going to lead the world in commercial space right out of Florida. We're going to do more launches than anybody. It's about the manufacturing plants that will be created. It is about the high paying jobs, not just for engineers and scientists, but for machinists and contractors and welders and electricians. It's about the fact that Zorhan Mamdani is crazy. He's crazy. And by the way, so is Angie Nixon. And this is why Ashley Moody needs to be reelected to the United States Senate. But we're already seeing what's happened in the Northeast. Business owners, captains of industry are saying, I had enough. They're saying I should have left right after COVID. And they didn't do that. And now they're saying I can't take it anymore. You see, what Paul talked about earlier is that we are the pinnacle. We are the number one state. We are the top dog. So when you hear the talk from a David Jolly, who says he wants to apologize to the world on behalf of Florida, I look at this man and I say, apologize for what? We're the best state in all of America. You know, I'm a huge basketball fan. I'm a basketball junkie. I love the game. And by the way, I did make the shot. I did. Just to make sure everybody knows, I did make the shot, and it only took me two takes. Two takes. Because yes, still got it. I still got it. But I'm a big sports fan. I never remembered the Chicago Bulls apologizing for being number one. I don't remember the New England Patriots and Tom Brady apologizing for being number one. When Tom Brady came down to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I didn't hear him apologizing to the rest of the NFL for being number one. So, what kind of person thinks he's going to come to Florida and lecture us about being number one? I say no. How about in 68 days, we defeat David Jolly and keep Florida red? That's what I say. That's what I say. David Jolly is somebody that when COVID-19 was hitting this country, when Ron DeSantis made the correct decision and opening our state so people could be free, he left Florida and went to Pennsylvania. He said Dr. Fauci had unimpeachable judgment. Can you believe this? Can you? This is a guy who chose Fauci over Florida. Anybody who chose Fauci over Florida does not have the judgment to lead the best state in America into the future. This is a guy who still thinks it's okay to transgender kids. This is a guy who thinks it's okay for boys to be in girls' sports. It's only him and the WNBA. They're the only two. It's crazy. It's not. And then he says these are culture wars. No, David. Defending Western civilization, defending family values, defending common sense against a crazy radical left is not a culture war. It is defending the very essence of the United States of America. And that is what we are going to continue to do here in Florida as your next governor. David Jolly is somebody who says that when we move through the president's agenda of no tax on tips and no tax on overtime and the largest Social Security tax in American history, he said, no, we don't need those provisions. We got to roll those back. He said this when he was in his other job as a commentator on MSNBC. David Jolly wants you to pay higher taxes. He wants you to adopt the cultural views of the radical left. He wants you to actually follow the lockdowns of Fauci. And this is why I call him what he is. He is a Trojan horse for the Democrat Socialists of America. And this is why we had to make sure we had all the firepower we needed in this election. You see, your next lieutenant governor is somebody who has been in the trenches with myself, with Paul Renner, with Wyman Duggan. Brian Avila is a man who has fought for liberty, fought for lower taxes, fought for lower costs in the state of Florida every single day. I've known him for 10 years. This is a man of integrity and high character. Brian Avila is somebody who fought to reduce tolls on the people of Florida. Brian Avila is the sponsor of Senate Bill 484, and that bill tells these data center companies that they will not pass on any utility costs to the people of Florida. Brian Avila has fought for your utility bills. And by the way, that is now state law. Governor DeSantis signed it. Your utility bills will not go up because of a hyperscale data center. That's the law in our states. That is the law. Brian Avila is a captain in our Florida National Guard. Today, still an active member of the Florida National Guard. He has commanded soldiers during hurricane response. He commanded soldiers during Florida's COVID-19 response. Brian Avila is more than all of those things. And that's a long list. Brian Avila is the son of Cuban exiles. His family fled Castro's Cuba seeking freedom, and they found that here in Florida. So when you have the DSA and Angie Nixon celebrating the birthday of Fidel Castro, a murderous dictator, a communist, this is one of the reasons why the Democrats have to be defeated in Florida this November. But more importantly than all of that, Brian Avila is a father. He and his wife, Cindy, who, by the way, they're childhood sweethearts, high school sweethearts. You guys didn't think that happened today. High school sweethearts. They raised 2 kids in Miami. He is a husband. He is a father. He is an academic dean in our state, shaping the next generation of Floridians. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my high honor to introduce to you the next lieutenant governor of the great state of Florida, Brian Avila.
Thank you, Jacksonville. Are you fired up? Listen, I'm from Miami, so I require a little more energy. Are you fired up? What an incredible honor it is to be here. What an incredible honor to be on this ticket with our next governor, Byron Donalds. First and foremost,
I want to thank God for the many blessings He has given me and my family. We are all Floridians by the grace of God. And today, I want to thank a very special person that has given me, again, an incredible honor to be on this ticket with him. Our next governor, Byron Donalds. Byron, I want to thank you for your trust, your friendship, and your leadership. You and I share a fundamental belief that the Democrats will never understand. That belief is that Florida, this great state, gave our families a chance to succeed. And we are going to make sure that that very same opportunity that existed for our families continues to exist for every single family in this great state that calls this state home. My parents fled communist Cuba, leaving behind their home, leaving behind their business. And they left that behind because they knew what happens when the government takes over. They know when liberty disappears. They know that socialism turns opportunity into misery. My parents found freedom in our great state, and they found it in Miami. They found it in Orlando. They found it in Tampa. They found it in Jacksonville. We have many family members that live throughout our entire state. And it is because of this great state, the free state of Florida, that they have freedom. So when I hear Democrats casually embracing socialism, I know where that road leads. My family has lived it. Many of the families in the great state of Florida have lived it. And I will tell you right now, there will never be any place or any home for socialism in the free state of Florida. This is not simply a choice between two political parties. This election is a choice between two fundamentally different visions for the free state of Florida. Byron Donalds and I believe in freedom, in limited government, lower taxes, the dignity of hard work, and strong families. That is the core of our society here in Florida. That is what has made Florida the envy of our country. We believe parents, not government, should raise their children. We believe that you should keep more of your hard-earned money. We believe that police officers and first responders deserve our support. We believe that girls' sports are for girls. And we believe that Florida should never apologize for being Florida. I am proud of the conservative record that we have built here in the great state of Florida. I was proud to stand alongside Governor Ron DeSantis and our conservative legislature as we made Florida the national model for freedom. When liberal extremists told us to bend, Florida stood tall. When the radical left came after parental rights, Florida fought back. When they tried to impose their radical ideology on our children and our schools, Florida said no. And as Lieutenant Governor of the free state of Florida, I will work every single day with Governor Byron Donalds to build on that conservative legacy. My service to Florida hasn't only been in the legislature. I also had the honor of serving our nation in the Florida Army National Guard. And I want to take a brief moment to thank those in the room who have served our country. Thank you so much for your sacrifice. And I want to thank the family members too, because without their support, we would not be able to serve not only this great state of Florida, but this great country. I have served on numerous missions, numerous hurricanes, numerous emergencies throughout our state. I've commanded soldiers who answered the call to serve our communities. Those experiences teach you lessons that you simply can't learn behind the desk. It really gives you a fundamental understanding of what true leadership is and what it means to our residents. When a hurricane is bearing down on Florida, nobody cares about your political party. They care whether the lights will come back on. They care whether their neighborhood is safe. They care whether somebody is coming to help them. And they expect leaders to be decisive, be prepared, and be accountable. Leadership means showing up. It means having a plan before the storm hits. It means taking responsibility when things go wrong. It means never asking somebody to do something that you would not do yourself. That is the kind of leadership that Byron Donalds and I will bring to Tallahassee. Our mission is clear: protect the Florida dream. Because many of the families across our state, that dream is getting hard to afford. I know it very well. I'm raising my family in Miami. Families feel it when the property tax bill comes. They feel it when they see the electric bill. They see it when they go to the grocery store. They see it when the insurance premium is due. And many of our young Floridians, they see it and they feel it when they start to think about whether they will be able to afford their first home. Let me be clear. Byron Donalds and I hear you, and we will fight for you. In the Florida Senate, I have fought to protect Floridians from being forced to pay higher utility bills because massive data centers want to consume massive amounts of electricity and water. I have fought for property tax relief because I believe your home should not become an ATM for the government. I have fought against wasteful spending because every single dollar that the government spends first came from someone's paycheck. I have fought to protect our first responders when I sponsored the HALO bill to make sure that they have a buffer so that they can respond to emergencies on the scene. And with Byron Donalds as our next governor, we are going to make government work for the taxpayer and not the other way around. We will fight to lower costs. We will protect our communities. We will stand with law enforcement and our first responders. We will protect school choice and parental rights. We will keep Florida the best state in America to own a home, raise a family, start a business, retire, pursue your dreams. And the contrast, ladies and gentlemen, the contrast in November could not be clearer. David Jolly and the Democrats offer the same tired, liberal, radical policies that have failed everywhere that they have been tried. Bigger government, higher taxes, weaker borders, and a radical ideology. I can assure you, there is nothing jolly about his policies. In fact, I would put it this way. David Jolly's policies are as invasive to Florida as the pythons are to the Everglades. My friends, today, I humbly accept your nomination to serve as the next Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Florida. Now I am asking you to join us. If you believe that Florida is worth fighting for, stand with us. If you believe freedom is worth defending, stand with us. If you believe our children deserve a Florida that is stronger, freer, and more affordable, stand with us. We have a state to defend and a Florida dream to build and protect. And together with Byron Donalds as our next governor of the free state of Florida, we are going to keep Florida free, keep Florida conservative, and we are going to keep the Florida dream alive for generations to come. God bless you, and God bless the free state of Florida.